Alright, yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Fix on TV, Lauren 33. Tonight, I'm back with an episode, whatever you want to call it, back AT, whatever. Tonight, we're talking about CM Punk. I'm gonna try not to make this super long, but tonight we are talking about CM Punk. And as you guys can see from the title, why CM Punk lost his passion for wrestling. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, well, I'm uploading. You should be watching this video on June 7, 2018. But if you're not watching this in the future, this video was made 2 days before CM Punk's second UFC fight. We know CM Punk is having his second pro MMA fight, and it's like a second chance for him. We all know what happened. If you guys were living under a rock, we saw CM Punk get destroyed in his first UFC fight about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And then everyone thought Dana White, president of UFC, everyone said they don't expect CM Punk to come back to UFC. Maybe he'll be fighting in some other industry, or maybe some other company, some local, because UFC is the biggest one of the world. But when you have a name like CM Punk, someone as known as CM Punk, someone so big in that asset, that basically everything he does, the media and eyes are going to be on it. Everyone's going to know what he's doing. And basically, it's been a big week for Punk. He had his trial. His trial verdict came in, him versus the doctors of WWE, which he was found innocent. A big victory, which a lot of people look at symbolizes his final goodbye to WWE in a way. Goodbye to pro wrestling. Something that's a burden that he said that's been on him for ever since he left the company back in 2014. And it's crazy. He's already been gone for about 4.5 years. It felt like just yesterday he was here. I remember every single Monday coming home from school, I would look forward to Raw to see what they were doing with CM Punk and John Cena, because those two were the top stars of the company at the time. Punk was becoming a red hot babyface, and then Cena was still doing his thing with once in a lifetime storyline he was doing with The Rock, and then they turned CM Punk heel after SummerSlam, after Raw 1000, and then basically he had a great heel run from then all the way through WrestleMania with that spectacular match he had with The Undertaker. And then he came back, a couple months later with turning babyface again. He had that absolutely incredible match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam again. And yeah, now looking back, he then left. There was rumors saying he was gonna win the Royal Rumble in 2014. That was supposed to be, and he was gonna go on to face Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. Well, Punk mainly left because he felt disrespected, because even though, yes, he was supposed to win the Royal Rumble, he was one of the things that made him very angry, and he's always been angry with WWE for many things. But basically, he said that he was angry because he knew this, and a lot of people know this. Just because you win the Royal Rumble doesn't mean you're going to main event WrestleMania, which is what the Royal Rumble is supposed to mean. You're supposed to be in a championship match to end the show, final match of the show. All right, and basically WWE's been advertising that for years, but they don't really follow through with that. The main event that year was Daniel Bryan versus Orton versus Batista in a triple threat match, and we all know one of the most special moments in WrestleMania history, Daniel Bryan won. All right, but it was supposed to be Punk, and he's been gone, and it's ridiculous. It's crazy. And now he's 2 days away from his second UFC fight, which I will be rooting for him. Hopefully he does win. I hope he wins, but if he doesn't, so be it, because who's gonna be surprised if he doesn't win? He's not the best in the ring. MMA, we're not WWE, but CM Punk, he lost his passion for pro wrestling. All right, basically, a lot of CM Punk's been in a lot of media, especially a lot of press conferences, and CM Punk is a very honest person. We all know that. He's not scared of anybody. And he tells you the truth. He tells you what he feels. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. And he's been asked a lot of questions this week about why, um, or if he will ever consider coming back to WWE or professional wrestling in general. And we don't know. We don't know. Looking at this, I'm looking at an article from Cage Side Seats. But if you look at what he said, basically in a June 7th new interview, in an excellent sit-down interview with Aral Hawani, I think, at MMAfighting.com, Punk left the door open for a possible pro wrestling return in an answer to the final question of a 22-minute chat. Today, basically, and we're talking about actually this today, June 7th, depending on when you're reading this, Punk had more interviews, more media as he's hyping up his fight for Saturday night. Today, June 7th, Punk buried his own answer to a similar question at a UFC 225 Media Day session. 2 days prior to his second fight in the UFC, Punk was asked if he would rule out a return to pro wrestling under the right circumstances. Punk's response? Punk said, and I quote, "Yesterday, I said a bunch of stuff about wrestling and how I've never gotten a true offer." But there's been, this quick side note, there's been a lot of rumors of Punk potentially going to All In. All In, which is going to be an event in Chicago. We all know that it's probably one of the biggest wrestling events of the year. It's looking like a lot of people are typing this up. And there was rumors going on a couple weeks ago that Punk was backstage at a All-In media event where Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, all these other wrestling stars were hyping up the event, selling tickets and all this. And then the rumors started, will Punk potentially make some kind of special appearance at the event? Will he be wrestling? Could we see something like Punk versus Omega or Punk versus Cody or whatever? Right now, no. All right. But the rumors are still going on because Punk is hosting a limited meet and greet 2 days before All In, which is crazy. And I know the line for that meet and greet is probably it's gonna be probably a huge meet and greet line. And Punk has been quoted saying he's gonna try to meet with as many fans as possible. Punk is a very, very kind, very good human being in real life, no matter what anybody says. But basically what he said, back to what the quote, he said, "Yesterday I said a bunch of stuff about wrestling and how I've never gotten a true offer. This does not mean I want to wrestle." All right. So he's basically saying just because of all this other stuff, he's not saying that he wants to wrestle. It's just a bunch of water cooler talk. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with professional wrestling. And a lot of people like to be mad at me about that. Make fun of me because I lost my first fight. And like, if that's fine, you're entitled to your own opinion. But you do not own me. And I'm entitled to do what I want to do, and that's what I'm doing. Wrestling is in the rearview mirror. I've been trying for 5 years to put wrestling in the rearview mirror, and some people just won't let it go. I don't know. They want to live my life for me. So basically, Case That Seats goes on their article, and they say, so you're telling me there's a chance in the interview with Punk? Well, if the quote says anything, Punk is saying he's done. He's done with wrestling. He's not coming back, and he doesn't want to come back at the moment. And it's tough. It is very, very tough. Punk's saying here that wrestling is in his past, all right? And he's basically saying people keep bringing up, and it's always going to be like that, JD from New York says that he believes Punk will come back to wrestling someday because everyone did. Hulk Hogan did. Ultimate Warrior did. Bret Hart eventually did. Ultimate Warrior did. Bret Hart eventually did after all that talk with the Montreal Screwjob. A lot of them did, but I feel like Punk's different, And basically, there was another video. I don't know if I can basically say it or play it, probably because I'll get copyright. But it was a video where a lot of people were saying, does Punk look at, or does he watch wrestling? Basically, does he watch WWE or anything non-wrestling or non-WWE, like any New Japan or independent wrestling at all. Pug basically said he can't. It's not, and he said, if I remember correctly, he said it wasn't because of he has some kind of anxiety or anything. He just really can't. It's hard for him. If he looks at it for 10 seconds, it's hard for him because he just feels like wrestling has changed so much in the years, from not just when he was in WWE, but just all over wrestling in general. Like, maybe he believes that WWE has, and wrestling in general, has lost what it's supposed to be. And I feel like at the end of the day, and it's something that I've said on in my videos and on my wrestling podcast, which I do with my friend Moose. The link for that is in the description. I've said that basically, if you look at it in this way, that wrestling isn't about wrestling. You know, the way if you look at WWE, if you look at all these other brands, it's more about entertainment to them. What happened to making storylines, good storylines that you actually invested in for a long time? What happened to actually focusing on what happens in the ring, telling a good story? What happened to having people go at it to prove who's the best? Now it's all about entertainment, stupid gimmicks that characters have, people not being treated seriously enough. You have the best wrestlers in the company not being used like Sasha Banks. Instead, they're being, put on the sidelines just for people like Carmella who are on Total Divas. This time, why? Yeah, they may be funny, they may be able to talk in the mic a little bit, but at the end of the day, when you're a champion, when you're a wrestler, your job is to wrestle. Your job is to entertain the crowd with your wrestling ability. All that other stuff, that entertainment stuff, that mic stuff, all that other crap should come after the wrestling. Your main point is selling your story in the ring. That's what mic stuff, all that other crap should come after the wrestling. Your main point is selling your story in the ring. That's what wrestling is. World Wrestling Entertainment. Notice how the second W, wrestling, becomes before entertainment. But I'm not saying this is not just WWE. This is everyone in general. The reason why I'm picking most on WWE because WWE, we all watch it. If you're watching this video, you probably are a fan of WWE, or at least you probably have been a fan of WWE at some point in your life. All right. And wrestling is WWE is the number one wrestling company in the world by a far margin. Even though other promotions like New Japan, and Ring of Honor, they're making slow progress, catching up a little bit towards WWE. WWE is better than all of them from a far margin. When WWE, you see, is more, WWE cares more about making money than giving us good matches. And CM Punk sees that. CM Punk talked about in this interview, he said how basically he compared wrestling now to going to a baseball game at Citi Field. Citi Field is where the New York Mets, that's a baseball team. That's where they play in New York. All right. He basically looked at the wrestling ring, and he saw how wrestling now, all they have is these very, very out of the world stages. They have LED lights everywhere. It's different. It looks more like a comedy show than an actual wrestling venue. And CM Punk has said he's very old school. You don't need a elaborate, set. As long as you put on good wrestling, who cares really what the set looks like? But you see, WWE spends thousands and thousands of dollars to set up these stages, set up these environments. All right, and CM Punk knows that. He said that how, at a New Mets game, basically whenever a batter strikes out, or whenever a hitter walks, a pitcher walks a batter, like the road team walks a home batter, how they get walked and they get a free pass to first base, basically, how they project it on the screen in this loud, elaborate manner. CM Punk said that basically that's the way wrestling is. It's way more about appearance. It's way more about, lights, camera, the fame, the fashion, this cool appearance, and actually what the hell is going on in the ring. CM Punk says he can't deal with that. He said that he doesn't remember the last time he was able to sit down and actually watch a full match. He talked about Kenny Omega, who's the #1 guy in New Japan, one of the most popular wrestlers in the world. In my opinion, he's probably a top 5 wrestler in the world. If you guys know me, I have AJ Styles as the best wrestler in the world. Just saying, quick side note. But he basically said, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, he knows that Kenny Omega is one of the hot guys right now, but he can't. He just really can't, put himself down and actually watch a full match. It's hard for him because he feels like wrestling has fallen so much off of where it should be or where it could be in a way. And it's just hard for him. And it sucks because CM Punk talked about, one of the great things about CM Punk is that in his promo work, one thing that was known about CM Punk is that he would not read scripts. Most of the time, if he was given a script, he would just look at it, look for the bullet points, and then rip it up. Most of his promos were made from his own. Remember his famous pipe bomb promo that he did a couple weeks before Money in the Bank in 2011. One of the most famous promos of all time, if not the most famous at this point. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. You know what I mean? And now CM Punk is gone. He's gone. And that CM Punk talked about how much he loves wrestling, how much he loves to wrestle. He didn't call himself the best in the world for a reason. He was at the top of his time with WWE. He was arguably maybe the best wrestler in the world. He was right up there with AJ Styles and Shinsuke and all of them. And even though those other superstars were in different promotions at that time, CM Punk was probably the best wrestler in WWE at that time. He was a technician. He could work with anybody and bring anybody to a good match, kind of like how AJ does today, kind of like how Sasha Banks does in the women's division. All right, like for real. Well, what are we doing? And now you let him go. And now, basically, what CM Punk wants to do, yes, he's a great promo guy. He's an all-around. He's a great superstar in general. All right? But basically, WWE fucked it up. They messed it up. Right? What else is he supposed to do? He wanted to prove he was the best in the world, and WWE did not give him that opportunity. Yes, he had his moments. He had the 434, I believe, WWE Championship reign. And now Brock Lesnar, who wrestles how many times a year? Lesnar defends that title at what? Maybe a maximum four or five pay-per-views a year. He defends at what? The big 4 pay-per-views. He defends at Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, even though he does have technically a championship match, maybe one other brand exclusive pay-per-view. He doesn't even wrestle. He comes up on the air maybe once, twice a month just for Paul Heyman. He just has to sit there with the towel around his waist. He just sits there, has to act serious. And he's getting paid millions upon millions more than other superstars that work their ass off, that are on the road over 200, 300 days a year, who are away from their families. He's getting paid to sit at home and do nothing. I know Lesnar's a big draw, but come on. Punk at his time WWE was by far the best in the company, by far. Now what? All for nothing. CM Punk was on track to be one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. He had been in WWE since around 2007 with ECW, and we all know his story. If you haven't, go see his documentary. All right, go see his Best in the World documentary that he made years ago in WWE. He started with ECW, and he won Money in the Bank. I believe the only person to win Money in the Bank twice, catching in both for World Heavyweight Championship reigns. And I already spoke on his record-breaking WWE Championship reign. He was World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Champion, and he was on track to be one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time. He should have been the guy to replace John Cena. He should still be in WWE today, but WWE fucked it up. They didn't realize how special he is. And now WWE tries everything everything to get him back, and he's not going to come back. Maybe when he's 60 years old, or maybe when he's in his late 50s, he might come back. Become like what Kurt Angle is now. Maybe he'll become a GM or something. I don't know. But CM Punk lost his passion to wrestle, right? And no matter what, if CM Punk got his ass kicked at UFC, who cares? It's still major prop for him to move from a sport like wrestling and move into MMA. Just to try it. That takes balls. But still, at the end of the day, wrestling is where he belongs. Wrestling is his home. He's the best in the world for a reason. But WWE have to up. And not only did they have to up for him, but they have to up for the whole wrestling. Because CM Punk was one of the biggest wrestling icons in the world. That's why he has so many fans in UFC. Because most of his fans came from WWE. You think it's ironic that he used his own WWE theme song to quote a personality in UFC? CM Punk will always, as I started off this video, CM Punk will always be a draw no matter what he does. He can go to NASCAR, he can go to PGA, go play tennis, it doesn't matter. We will always have eyes on CM Punk because of his WWE roots and because he was one of the best in the world at what he did. The WWE have to up. And now, that not only WWE, all these other promotions have fallen so far off away from wrestling. It makes you sit and think, how much longer will wrestling be prominent? Can it stay like this? What's the future? How will wrestling look in 5 years, 10 years? What will it take for leaders of these promotions to get back to actual wrestling, to what we actually care about, to what we want to see the best wrestlers in the world go at it in the ring and show us why wrestling is great? Will WWE ever be saved? Who knows? But it sucks. It sucks. CM Punk, hopefully one day he's in the Hall of Fame. My dream is to see CM Punk versus AJ Styles. We may never get that because AJ Styles is turning 41. CM Punk is almost 40, and CM Punk, in fact, doesn't ever come back to WWE. And AJ Styles eventually retires sometime in the next couple of years. We're never going to get to see that match, and it sucks. It really does. But, keep your head high. You never know. You never know. But that's about all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to talk about why CM Punk lost his pass for wrestling. I didn't think the video would go that long. Every time I say I'm going to make this video short, it doesn't. It always ends up going longer than it needs to. But I hope you guys at least listen. I hope you guys enjoyed the insight I tried to give you. At least, this is why CM Punk lost. I hope you guys enjoyed the insight I tried to give you. At least, this is why CM Punk lost his passion for wrestling, and it sucks. But I will always support CM Punk no matter what he's doing, as that MMA or whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys will like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Peace.